Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm just trying to get let me run this bumper one more time. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Metaphysics and Spirituality with Reverend Dr. Tracy Cox. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Tracy Cox, and this is my wonderful and beautiful guest, Ashwita Goel. Did I say that correctly, Ashwita?
Yes. No,
Wonderful. And today we're going to talk a little bit about Ashwita's experience. She just came back from an ashram. It was in India, correct?
yes,
And
South.
you work out of India as well. So maybe you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do first, and then we can get into your experiences in the ashram.
Sure, thank you. So good to be here, Tracy. We've been looking forward to this for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
we've talked about this for so long, but finally here we are.
Yeah. So I've been practicing Reiki for the last 27 years. It's the foundation of my life. I live and I breathe Reiki. So no matter what I do, ultimately it all comes back to Reiki in the end.
Yeah,
I
I'm the
learned it
same
when
way.
I was,
Same,
yeah.
exactly.
So actually, part of my exploration was to find something better than Reiki, you know, something more intense because it can get so boring and something.
Yeah, peace and serenity are quite boring. That's the thing to remember,
Yeah,
right? So a
yeah,
lot of people will go, I want to learn Reiki, and you'll find them resisting it because, as you say, it can be boring. And
yeah,
they're used to and addicted to so much drama in their life that once you start working with the Reiki on all the different levels of your life, you'll find that it's serene and calm. And some
yeah,
people may find that boring. So that's a very good point to make.
yeah. I often say that boredom is where the journey begins, because look at anything, relationships, anything in your life, you'll find that boredom is where it really starts.
Yeah.
So for me, it was in my childhood, and then I learned telepathy by the time I was 16, and so there was a whole lot of psychic phenomena and a lot of experiences like that, and then it was a burden basically. It
Sure.
destroyed me after a point, and that's when I found my what you could call a guru. It's funny because people come to India for finding their spiritual gurus. I'm an Indian. My spiritual guru is Danish, originally British.
Exactly, yeah, you just maybe it's the grass is always greener thing, right? It's like
No, it was just this connection. Like I saw her and it was instant. Like literally, I don't think I've experienced love with a man the way I experienced love at first sight with her. And they
right,
always say this: the guru is the most intense relationship in the end.
definitely. So this
Yeah.
was your Reiki master teacher?
No, no, no. This was my spiritual teacher. She doesn't do Reiki.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
more dealing with your spiritual gifts such as psychic ability and telekinesis,
No,
things like
just she was just about going beyond the illusion. That's it.
okay.
That was is her life's work mainly. So her first not advice, but you know what I mean, was stop all this nonsense. So I stopped
Yes,
engaging. I stopped looking at what was wrong with clients and everything. It was very shocking for me because as a healer to stop using your psychic abilities. But I had promised myself before I met her, shortly before I met her, that if I meet someone who really knows how to fix me, I'll listen. So she says, stop all
sure.
this nonsense. I stopped all this nonsense. And surprise, my healing abilities tripled easily, more than that.
Sure. So
That was when I started so
do you
much more
feel that
grounded.
that was getting in the way, like an ego thing that was, well, I can read it and the situation, so that was getting in the way of the Reiki energy flowing to the client? Is that what was happening, do you think, or
I think it was more like the Reiki energy flowing before that. Reiki was a thing that I used to use. So I was the healer and I was diagnosing the client and then fixing it using Reiki. And then after that, I was Reiki. So it was just Reiki happened. After that, I stepped out of the way,
Yes,
so I don't
exactly.
interfere. So I'm like this. I'm a servant. Tell me what to do, and if you need me to say something, I'll say it. If you need me to use a technique that I know, I will use it. But you're the master, and I'm just, the technician. I switch it on and off. That's pretty
That's
much
right,
it.
that's right. So when we do Reiki, because I'm a Reiki practitioner as well and a Reiki master teacher, and that's the thing. We don't know where that universal life force or Holy Spirit, or there's a million different words for what that Reiki energy is, but really it's the energy of the universal life force. Um, we don't know what that person's karma is. We don't know what that person's journey is. So for us to say, oh, let's fix it this way, we shouldn't do that. We need to give them all the energy that they need to get through what they are experiencing, but pull our egos out of it to that helping, right? Because we want to,
Yeah,
of course, we don't want to
yeah,
see anyone suffer, but
yeah,
everybody has a their own path to live, right? So
yeah,
we're just here to give them that extra boost so that they can really make it happen the way that they want to.
yeah. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time with her, but now since the lockdown, she's had a little difficulty coming to India, and health, she's getting older and stuff.
Right.
So that's how I ended up coming here. Otherwise, I would every spare minute I had, I would spend it with her.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So now somebody sent me, I don't even remember who, last year, a process, this 1 month workshop in this ashram. And I thought, I am Hindu, and in Hindu culture, in India, there's a lot of people that call themselves Hindu, but they're not very Hindu at all. We don't know anything because we don't have a weekly system or anything. There's no system where we visit every week or every month or
Right, like
something.
a church
Yeah,
or a mosque. Yep. Yep.
exactly. So there's no temple that you're connected with, usually. So we call ourselves Hindu, but we don't know anything about being Hindu at all. So I was like, this looks good. I would like to know this stuff. And I went, and it was so eye-opening. I was deeply regretting going only for the first month, because it was either you attend 1 month or the deeper 2 months. And I was like, I don't even
Okay.
know whether I will enjoy this. So let me do 1 month. And then I was like, I should have done 2 months.
Right. So it
And
was that great.
manifestation, the flight is all wrong. I had to cancel, and then I had to rebook and everything. I was like, see, your whole body is fighting this. And so I was in Egypt last year during the festival of the goddess, which that Swamiji is a word that we use for someone who has renounced everything and has very strong spiritual practices, and has reached a certain stage.
Okay.
So it's the Swamiji who does everything, and he is a great worshipper of the goddess. So everybody told me that I must not miss the 9 day festival, but I was in Egypt. It was not something I could cancel. So I promised myself I will go this year. And I went, and oh my God, what an experience it has been.
So you were there for a full 2 weeks, like the 10
Yes.
days and then a few days on either side. Okay, so what can you tell us about, so what goddess are you talking about when you are, talking
Well,
about goddess? Because for me, as we were saying, in the metaphysical, denomination, which I represent here in Canada, we believe that we are all children of God or goddess, or whatever way you connect with the universal life force. It's always a personal relationship between us and whatever our higher power is. So that's what we're always trying to help people do, is connect with that. We don't want to be the middleman, you know what I mean? We don't want to take that middleman energy. We want to teach people how to connect themselves, and then it's a whole new ball game. Life just opens up, right?
yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people around the world, a lot of Hindus think that Hinduism is all about so many gods. We have, I think, 33 million gods. The numbers keep varying, you know.
Okay. It's a lot of gods.
Yeah, but so one of the ways of worshiping is to list out the 1,000 names of the god that you worship. We have like a lot of names.
Okay.
Like if I'm worshiping Tracy, for example, I would say, oh, the one with the beautiful long hair, and the one who wears the round spectacles, and the one who can get so angry if somebody hurt someone else. So
Sure.
so in
Yep.
Sanskrit you have names like that. So the one who murdered, not murdered, but killed this demon, and the one
Okay.
who
Yep.
rescued this, and the mother of this, and the husband of, or the child of, think names like that. And I used to think that's so, like, why would you do that? you know but then when I understood what was going on, what we're really doing over here, and it goes beyond that. It's like, now if you're thinking of the president, right, you're saying, think of God as the whole structure. That's what we're reminding ourselves, that,
Right.
oh, you're also the helper and the peon, and the, you're also the secretary, and you're also the administrator, and you're also this, and you're also the president, and you're also the prime minister, and you're everything, basically. So that's basically what you're reminding, that you're everything. Immature people misinterpret this, and then they're like, see, my God is the final God.
Right. Yeah. It's not a
Yeah,
contest. It's not a
it's
contest.
it's not a contest, it's a
Yeah.
reminder,
Yes.
that
Exactly.
you may choose, like, you maybe a mother, maybe a daughter, maybe a boss, and a subordinate. You have so many roles. Now if you have two people sitting and arguing, oh, you know what, she is the mother, that's all she is, and somebody else is like, no, 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 she's a wife, and that's what she ultimately is. No, you're not. You're everything. You're just looking at a different
Right.
angle. So
Right.
the goddess is that, she's everything, but then she is uh the creator of the universe, however you look at it. Or there's, if you come lower in the hierarchy, then it's the oneness splitting into two, which we can translate as potential and kinetic energy. So the kinetic,
Okay.
the dormant energy, the silence, the void, all of that is the masculine as we see it, and the feminine is the goddess. So the literal translation of the Sanskrit word that we can use for the goddess translates to nature.
Oh, okay.
Everything,
Sure.
everything that manifests is the goddess.
That makes total
All
sense.
the
Yep.
unmanifest is the masculine, the god, Shiva. So
Right.
yeah, so we're worshiping her in her various forms, and the 10 days we worship those 10 forms of her, like the various stages, the little girl, and then she grows up, and then she's
Okay. That's
wife, and then the
beautiful. Yeah.
mother. Yeah. So
Beautiful. So, what I was really interested in about this is the fact that, and what I've been harping on so much in my own ministry, like get my harp out, we need to all pray for each other, for all of humanity right now. It is so fractured on the earth right now. People are just like this with each other. And so people like you and I, and anybody that's watching that's considers themselves a light worker or a spiritual person, we know that we have the ability to connect, pray, do Reiki, whatever you use, positive visualization, but think about all of humanity coming together and healing so that we help each other and stop hurting each other. And I mean, if you get into astrology, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, right? That's the prediction about the age of Aquarius, that we'll all just wake up and realize that love thy neighbor is not just a good idea, it's the way we need to live. And so you were saying that in the ashram, part of the devotion every day is actually praying for all of humanity, right?
yes, I love that part. All yoga sessions. Like, I think
Yes.
in the West, a lot of people cut out the mantras, but in here, every single yoga session that you go with a proper yoga teacher, you will always begin with certain mantras. Part of which is, one mantra that you start with is, please help me be a good student so that I can absorb from you. You know, and
Yeah.
the ending mantra is always, whatever, sadhana, the spiritual practice I have done, please let that benefit the whole world. We pray for world peace. We pray for everyone. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Let everybody be happy. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everyone have peace. Let everybody live in harmony. Because how else can you be happy?
That's right. And most of us on earth, all we want to do is have a nice life, be able to feed our families, uh, enjoy times in beautiful surroundings. It's not that hard. That's what most of humanity wants. So if we just keep putting it out there, we're going to get there. but people lose hope and they get into this tribal thing. We're back and forth. And I always discuss how I never talk politics because I'm trying to pull for everybody. And I'm a
Yeah,
member of the clergy, and we're not supposed to take sides. We want everybody to win. So it's that unconditional love energy that's really going to help us get through modern times, because you can see what the opposite does. We have all this chaos right now, right? So we're going to try to turn that around, right?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, so you're doing your part at the ashram. So tell me more about it. You said you had some very interesting spiritual experiences when you were there. So
Yeah,
our listeners will enjoy that because everybody's into, you know, different things that
uh,
are
so
beyond the physical, let's say.
yes. So if you know about projections, you know how there are times that when you think you love someone, when you like someone a lot, and they're like so glorious, and then suddenly, the mask is gone, and you're like, oh my God, they're so ordinary. So what was the
Yes.
difference? The difference was that you were projecting your light onto them. You weren't
Sure.
seeing them at all. So that when that happens, that is an unconscious thing. But in the Hindu process, what we do is we bring all that energy. The person who's doing the worship, they bring all of that, they concentrate all of that energy, and then they project that onto a small idol temporarily.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're really worshiping yourself, because you're putting it in the idol and you're taking it back in the end.
Right. So you're reclaiming your energy
Yes. So
to be
basically, you're
balanced, basically.
yes, you're bringing that divinity, putting it in an idol, and then taking it back. So what you're doing hypnotically is you're just worshiping the parts of you that you would like to enhance. So, if you really observe these Hindu intense devotees, you will find that they start looking like the person that they're worshiping, because
Ah,
hypnotically you're, energizing that on a daily basis at least once, if not more times. So he was doing it on a small idol, okay, that he has probably been worshipping for years.
this was
And
the Swami?
the Swamiji,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
and and I see these things, right? And I know I was there because I know that he does pujas on a level I have never witnessed before. I have seen people who do amazing pujas. Puja is the ritual of worship. And when he does it, you can feel them standing there. It is so powerful. And I'm looking at this idol and I'm like, where is she? What's
Mhm.
wrong with me? Why can't I see her? Like, where is she? So,
So you
and
could feel the energy, just
I
not the
couldn't, I could
visual.
not, no, I couldn't see the goddess in the idol. And I'm like,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Because I know he is powerful. So there must be something wrong with me. And I was feeling disturbed the first couple of days. It brings up stuff, right? So I was like,
Sure.
I was like, okay, something is clearly wrong with me. The third day, I realized the energy that he has installed in the idol is so huge that we're sitting in it.
Right.
How can I see it in the idol? Because it's so huge actually. So it's not limited to that metal structure.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. The drumming would send so many of us into trance. Like, I think with all of this worship and all of the chanting, I think we must have been chanting around 3 hours a day. This was the first really
Wow.
interesting thing was last year when I went there, when we used to chant, it was always led by a male teacher, right? And male pitch can be higher. So, when we had to chant, we would be kind of shouting. So it's
Sure.
like, it's like, Om Bhadram Karnevi. So after half an hour or so, it would be a 1 hour class. And believe it or not, I have fallen asleep chanting
So you
aloud.
were still chanting, but you were out.
Yes, because it would tire the system out so much. It's not like
Wow.
we were sleepy or something, but we would fall asleep chanting. Many of us had this experience. But this year, and I was like that time I was trying to keep up, but this time I wanted to, and I would be chanting so loud, and we're doing like cumulatively 3 hours of chanting roughly in a day, and I was completely fine.
Huh,
No
so just
throat,
a different
throat problems, nothing,
great.
and I'm like, how's that happening? Because last time it was like within a couple of weeks, then I had to be quiet for a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna chant in my mind because this is not working for me.
Right. So
Or
maybe something in
shouting.
your throat chakra opened up because of whatever work you've been doing on yourself. You never know, right? Maybe something was a little bit
No, because I was already actually at that time when I had gone, I had been chanting aloud for an hour every day before I left. And for the
ah,
last 1 year, I have barely done any chanting because of whatever reasons. For the last 1 year, I stopped almost everything. So, so it does not make any sense. It's just that energy, bringing you alive
sure.
so much that you can do 3 hours of chanting without any problem. But then also, the number of us who have had the experience of being the goddess
Ah,
was quite incredible. So first, one of my friends is like, I saw you as the goddess. I'm like, okay. Next day, she's like, I felt like I was the goddess. I said, yeah. Now I get it.
so just the energy got so huge that this was the experience, right?
Yeah, like your boundaries dissolve, right? You and like I have seen the goddess before many times, but the experience over here, like when he would tell us to visualize the goddess, I'm seeing galaxies in her form,
Sure.
and I was like, wow, it's not imagination, right? It's something beyond because I can imagine her like that. But I mean, but actually I haven't seen those visions before. It was very, very new.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've seen that type of thing where it's just the galaxies and you're moving
Yeah,
through them. Very beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah,
healing energy too.
yeah.
That's why
So
people wanna go to space so badly, right? That's why there's that push because they think that that's gonna be the experience. I think it's completely different. I think we can do it, through like you're saying, through meditation, through chanting, through we can experience those galaxies ourselves, right?
I think we all inherently remember our true nature. So they're thinking that if they're out there, they will remember it. But you don't need to do that much.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, for people, a lot of people that I run into in my line of work here with Reiki and spiritual coaching, a lot of them are into yoga and that type of thing, meditation, all that type of thing. And like their dream is to go to an ashram in India, right? And find out what it's like and experience it. So, can you tell me when Westerners have come over, what they can expect with a place that can handle them? Do you know what I mean? Because there's different places, right? There's different ashrams. Some would never think of doing that. Some would. What can they expect when they travel over?
There's a wide range, really. I think a lot of Westerners tend to go to places where there are already a lot of Westerners. So they get the sanitized version of Hinduism, you know?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Although I have met Westerners here as well, so there are some that genuinely get drawn to hardcore Hindu practices, and actually the people who chant Hindu mantras more powerfully than anyone I've met, they're all Westerners. One is Canadian, one
Really,
is
eh?
Estonian. Yeah, they're all oh my God, the Canadian guy, when I saw him in the ashram, it was genuinely like watching the sun walk around. I was like, what is this aura? I don't see these things anymore, but something's hit you, right? It
Right.
was like watching the sun walk around. I'm like, what are you doing? This was last year, and I was like, every day I'd sit next to him at lunch and I'd be like trying to grill him, and I couldn't get the right question to ask. Like, what? One day I was like, what do you do? What is
Yeah.
it that you do every day to look like this?
Mhm. What did he
And
say?
then he says 2 hours of Vedic chanting for the last 5 years every
Wow,
single day. And I was like,
that's intense.
oh
Sure.
my
So
God.
he's
And
got his
then
spiritual armor in a big way, right?
yeah, and then I'm telling you, 15 minutes of proper chanting, like Vedic chanting, is very specific. It's not just any chanting, very specific intonations. And, so some vowels and some sounds you have to give it a lot of force. So it's very, very specific. Yeah, lots and lots of rules. And he knows all those rules and he's following
Wow.
all those rules. 15 minutes, we're falling asleep, and he's doing 2 hours of it every day for the
That's
last 2 years.
amazing.
And I
So
was
in
like,
a day when they would do, in an ashram, what would your day look like? Like, how would the day work out?
it totally varies from ashram to ashram. My teacher's ashram, I really liked it because it was the Western approach of, being relaxed. So we would start at 7 a.m., which is so late for Indian standards. Like if you go to a hardcore ashram, you're waking up at 4. Like even
Okay.
over here, yeah, even over here it was relaxed. So we would wake up at like I think I had my alarm for 4:50 or something like that.
Okay, so
And
closer
then
to 5.
we had to reach there by 6 a.m., which was like super late. I'm like, thank God,
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
we only start at 6 a.m. Thank you for that. But many places that I have been to, they will start at 4:30 a.m.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, 4:30 to
It's pretty
5.
standard.
Yes. So then, and then you have like an hour or two of meditation, and then you have breakfast, and then, a couple more hours of whatever they're doing. I mean, if you're in a retreat or something, then you would be doing some more chanting or meditation or
Sure,
something.
and food-wise, Hindu is vegetarian food, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Especially the spiritual. Like, there are some practices where the tantric hardcore practices where they will eat meat, but those are
Oh,
very, very strong practices. Yeah, they
really?
will
I didn't know that.
serve alcohol to goddesses. I have seen this. I have been in a puja where they served meat, and I was like, I can't eat this. And he's like, the goddess can eat it. Why can't you? And I'm like, I still can't eat it.
Did you end up eating it or no?
Well,
Tiny bit?
I ate a couple of pieces of the mutton, but the buffalo meat, I had a friend, and I was like, the moment nobody was looking, I was like, tick 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 tick, all of it.
So, the energy of the meat, that more aggressive energy, that's what the goddess was expressing by eating that, is that correct? Is that kind of the energy that was going on, or
We tap
just
into
out of
a
curious?
whole lot of types of energies. So the white energies, they're like where you eat less and less and you fast and things like that. Whereas here, the so it's all the upward moving energy that you're using to raise yourself. But tantric is downwards. The digestive fire gets so strong you can digest pretty much anything.
Right.
So, and then also that energy demands sacrifice of animals and things like that. So then
Right.
of course, whatever is sacrificed is offered, to the
I
devotees.
understand.
So yeah,
Amazing.
them both. So, but yeah, I mean, most of the visitors will, because those are very specific practices that you will find after a lot of searching.
Right.
But normally, yes, it's hardcore vegetarian and then no onion and no garlic because we have classifications of foods. So, there's
Okay.
between sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So, sattvic is very pure. So, onion and garlic don't come in that category. They're strong aphrodisiacs, right? So, you want to avoid them.
Sure. Now, after you're done a retreat that's that long, 10 days, was it 10 days or 10 days or 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Each?
11 days plus a couple of days. Yeah.
What do you notice? Because people want to know, they always want to know what the results are, right? What did you notice was different about your life when you got back to your regular life? Did you notice? Obviously, you're going to have some improvements or different energies. So, what did you notice about that?
Anything this intense, you don't see the good stuff in the short term. It's still only been a very short time. So right now I'm
Okay.
still suffering.
Okay, so you find that there's almost like a healing crisis energy
Yes,
where things
yes.
rise to the surface. Okay, tell us a bit about that because that's very interesting.
All of us had mouth ulcers. I have a pimple right here. Yeah, so in
What?
yeah, Indian practices get very like we in our local language we call it the heat of the body increases. So then the heat
Okay.
increasing will give you like ulcers and
Does that
pimples.
go with Ayurvedic medicine or is that
Yes, yes,
similar?
the
Okay.
pitta, yeah. So,
Okay.
you will end up having like ulcers. All of us had mouth ulcers, you
Wow.
know, and then there's like I said, I have a pimple over here and somewhere else, and so you can end up having boils or skin
Wow.
problems and headaches. This one was different, but the previous meditation retreats I've done would get so intense that I would end up throwing up, and throwing up wouldn't stop even after the stomach is empty.
Wow.
The convulsions wouldn't stop. I've been through hell in my
So
retreat.
this is a healing crisis where
Yes.
everything's rising to the surface. So people should be aware of that because that's a pretty intense
Well, it depends
byproduct.
at what level you're engaging.
Ye-
It depends what level you're engaging at as well. Because you can just cop out and be like, no, I've had enough. I don't want to go any deeper. But like we think
Right.
of it as spiritual warriors, we don't give up. We'll fight. So then whatever comes up,
Yeah.
you're like, bring it on, and you're like,
Sure.
"Ah!"
Sure. So you
Oh,
know that you're getting your healing to a certain level going through this
yes.
difficult time.
Yeah. So
Sure.
So I've come back to just feeling completely angry and outraged and stuff. And my sister's been helping me out of it, thank
Oh,
God for
that's
that.
good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. She's like just, asking me the right questions because everything that disturbs you about your life, but you've not been facing it, will come to the surface. And then now you have to deal with it. And
Right.
depending on what your personality is like, I'm a very, very calm person. So for me, after meditation retreats, I'm always outraged and angry and like, ah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Very interesting. Because people wouldn't think that. I'm sure they'd think the exact opposite, that you'd come out like a Buddha, just relaxed,
not at
chilled
all.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
only
So
if
they
you're at
should
the
be aware of that, that there's gonna be a bit of there may be a little bit of a process, shall we say.
It is
So
not fun.
so, one final thing, and then I'll get you to go over just what you do and where people can get you, for a private consultation, because you work with people all over the world, correct? On Zoom. So, what final thing do you feel that you want to say to everybody out there, that you got out of the ashram to send that energy out into the world? What do you think?
I would say two things actually. One is it's worth it. It can be hell. The pathway can be utter hell. And like, think of the worst hell possible. It will be worse than that.
Okay.
But it's worth it, you know. And the second thing is the only way you can change the world is by changing yourself. Your existence will change the environment. If you just come down to that point,
Absolutely.
when you start doing that intense work, you just sit somewhere and like I won't go into stories, but I've seen proof of how just living in a certain place changes the entire 2 kilometers around you. Everybody is different and you move and
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes geography solves a lot of problems, right? If you move just slightly into a different
no,
space.
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is that you live in a certain place and all the people in 2 kilometers, I'm just saying
Oh,
two
I see
kilometers,
what you're
they,
saying.
their lives
I
change.
understand.
They don't even know you. And then
Yeah,
you move and then you start getting, you start hearing stories of how everybody's lives have been hard since you moved out. So you don't have to
sure.
necessarily do healing great, but be that healing is what I would like to.
Yeah, because anyone that has that love, unconditional joy, acceptance, whatever it is, that impacts everyone around them, their energy. And as we know from Reiki, your energy body, your aura is about 88 inches across. It's quite large. So
Yeah,
that's just like in direct contact. So it just sprays out everywhere. Yeah, you got to spray and spread that love everywhere, right?
yeah,
That's what we're here for.
yeah.
So give us one more, tell us what you do and where people can find you, Ashwita.
Well, I do a lot of things now. I've been learning for a long time. So Reiki definitely, and I also incorporate hypnosis and tapping into my work. So for
Yeah,
the
that's very
most
interesting.
part, I help a lot of people with trauma, usually in just one session. I tend to not do repetitive sessions in a lot of cases. It's often enough to just do one session. I also do astrology and tarot. Yeah, but astrology, it's my heart.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I help people with all kinds of problems: physical, mental, emotional, relationship, financial, everything. So
Everything. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's just bring it to us. I
yeah,
like to say I talk people off the ledge. Just bring me your problems. There's always a way to get you through it. Always. There's so
yeah,
many simple spiritual tools that we can teach people to just get control of what's going on and move towards what they want. It's really simple. And so, if anyone out there would like to reach out to either one of us, our details are all on this live stream. And I want to thank you, Ashwita, for coming by. It was great, and like to have you on again sometime. We'll talk about more of this kind of stuff because it's fascinating. And I think the more that we learn about other people's religions and spirituality, the more we can all understand each other. And like we said, pull together right now for everybody on earth. We can do it,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Another day with another topic. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye.